Another sunny but cold day in South Africa. Just doing another video log for another collection of mine, which has been sitting in the garage for quite some time now. Don't really get much of a chance to drive it. Here it is, 2014 Mazda MX-5. This is the third generation, which is known as the NC. For those keen-eyed, you can see that from the color combination that this is the 25th anniversary. So the story of this car is that there were roughly about 1,000 made in the world back in 2014, and they all come with the hardtop convertible, or they call it the power retractable hardtop. Around 700 were allocated to UK, none to South Africa. So Mazda South Africa requested 4 allocation to be sent through to reward as a thank you to the 4 biggest dealerships in South Africa, and this one happened to be from a dealership north of Pretoria called Ellen Jars. So I was very honored to be able to get my hands on it about 2 years back. Paid dearly for it. This is number 792 of 1,000. As you can see, this car is garage kept, still in its original condition, original tires. It's still got these chicken strips on it, as we call it. First set of brake pads. Everything is literally like the day it left the factory. This thing has only done 6,383 kilometers. And yeah, it hasn't been driven much. It's basically just a collectible in my garage. Everything is brand spanking new. A lot of the stickers are still on it. Ellen Jars. Just doing a quick walk around. So the difference compared to the other NCs, other than the soul red and the black top combination, you can see the hard top is staked neatly behind it, is the hand painted dash piece or dash cover. No two pieces are alike, so if this one is buggered, it will present quite a challenge to replace. It's got the two-tone leather on the door panel as well as the seat. It's got a black mirror, the black egg pillar, the black roof, and obviously the back of the roll cage or the roll bar is also in this piano black. The rest of the car is pretty much the same as all the other 2014, 2015 model. I know from 2013 onwards there was another, called it the facelift. The enthusiasts called it the NC 2.75, sort of demarcating the third variation of this particular generation. So this car has been very dear to me. I actually had an NC1 2008, and when I saw this one that came up for grab, I just decided I have to do it. It's just one of those collectibles that if you are really into the Mazda, especially the third generation, it's a must-have. We didn't have the luxury of getting the 30th anniversary, you know, the orange one, because Mazda South Africa decided not to import any more ND2 and ND3s into the country due to the lack of demand. So ultimately, we don't have the luxury of the newer generation. But having said that, I actually forego the choice of getting the new generation because I just really feel that this is a better made vehicle. It's slightly more roomier than the other generations. The tech is not there, but the car is very, very robust. This particular generation is known to outlast its owner. It's if you do the regular maintenance, you do the, you know, the due diligence, this car will last all the way up to 300,000 kilometers if one just looks after it. But like most of the Mazda MX-5s, they are very reliable, fun cars. The roll holding, just the sheer driving pleasure, it's second to none. You don't need to break any world record. You don't need to break any speed record to have fun. You literally do 80 kilometers an hour and it feels like you're doing 160 on the road. And the road holding is just phenomenal. It's crazy how well this car holds on the road in the corners. When I had the NC1, I had a chance to track it a few times. But yeah, it's just a fantastic vehicle. And it's inexpensive comparing to a lot of its rivals back in the days. This one, obviously, it's a collectible now. It obviously will fetch good prices, but at the end of the day, it's really just something that if you're a real true car enthusiast, you will definitely enjoy. Are there any quirks? I really can't think of many. Maybe it's because I am so used to this car now, especially this particular generation. I've driven so many of them, and I've owned a couple of them from different, the different variation. I've test driven NA, the first generation, which is a very small tiny thing, very fun, but just very unrefined. And then the NB still feels like the products of the 90s, everything plasticky and just feels like it's gonna fall apart. The engine was very underpowered, but this one just feels solid. I even went to the launch of the ND back in 2016. Very high tech comparing to this one, but I was so disappointed with the material quality. I suppose that is the sacrifice that one makes when you have to try and meet all your modern requirements. Then you have to somehow save the weight and everything somewhere in order for you to get to that point. I know it was boasting about being the same weight and dimension as the very first generation, but it shows the quality, the material is just not quite there. This one, however, it was built during that merger between Ford and Mazda, so there's a lot of input from the Americans. Hence, this car is slightly roomier than the rest. I suppose, the Americans are quite a bit bigger, but it's comfortable. The interior noise is actually worse when the top is closed. It's actually better. The clean air actually allows less noise to be intruding into the cabin. But with the top closed, it actually gets quite noisy at road speed, and I mean highway speed like 120 or so. This thing is very capable. I mean 0 to 100 to 120, it takes nothing. So yeah, what can I say? It's just a nippy little thing. It's very easy to maintain, easy to clean. I even customize some of these rubber mats because there's just no accessory for this car in this country. The boot is a little bit small, but it's enough for you to get two, carry-on bags easily into the boot. And like the RX-8, this one has got a little bit of a dent in the boot, so that it's funny. I mean, I thought maybe it was supposed to have a spare wheel, but it never came with. It's got a twin exhaust, even though it doesn't sound like much. It's a little throaty sound, but I wouldn't even bother to demonstrate. Like I said, there's a lot of videos about the NC being the most hated model or generation of all the models, but I love this particular generation. To me, this is the best of the four so far. This one is it's just roomy. It's easier to take on the highway. You can, if you want to go from here to Durban, Cape Town, 5 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours into the road trip. And it's quite economical. I mean, if you do on a highway, you're looking at about 7 liters per 100. Around town, if you really push it, roughly about 10 liters per 100, which is really nothing. Other than that, it's just really a very simple, fun car to own and to drive. There is really not much more to it than that, and I think ultimately that's what most of the enthusiasts want. It's just a driving experience and, you know, the ease of ownership. This thing doesn't cost an arm and a leg to service, to maintain. If you just do it on the yearly basis, it's really a very affordable fun. But this particular one holds really dearly in my heart. Being the 25th anniversary, being such a low mileage, I mean, let me just pop the bonnet and you guys can get an idea of what I'm referring to. Really is just a fantastic vehicle. I mean, if you look at the interior of this engine bay, it's just so simple, very easy to maintain on your own, and everything is opened up, you know, very easy to locate. That is that engine piped in noise, which, yeah, not my best, but I mean, not my favorite, but it is what it is. Just a very simple car, to be quite honest. It's got my xenon lights, fog lights, little spoiler in the front, 17-inch wheels. I think this is a 225 if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, actually it's 205 17. So it's very cheap as well to replace these tires. Yeah, everything is just, I think this is ultimately what enthusiasts want, you know. It's just a fun car. Anyway, just a quick video log, and hopefully I'll get to drive this car more.